Thank you. Representative Berch?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So I guess just a very quick comment and then a question. I just couldn't help but be struck by, some of the data in this report. And, with an $874 million to get schools in good condition. And, yet I look at how we've just, taken $600 million, out of a surplus. And it kind of underscores, and I'm not trying to make a political statement here, Madam Chairman, but I was going to say that it just kind of underscores that if you don't spend the money to take care of the nuts and bolts of your responsibilities, the surplus may not be really a surplus. It's just meant money that you didn't spend that you should have spent. So the question is, this problem really, from what I can tell from this report, goes back to no one taking the Supreme Court's ruling seriously in regard to the state's responsibility when it comes to funding this. That things were said, but no action was taken. And it seems to me, Mr. Reiber, that the governor's office, the recommendation should really be from the governor's office, not necessarily to the legislature. If the governor's going to propose, this is a money issue. We need money, as all these things coming to JLOC seem to indicate, which means we need it in the budget, which means we need the governor's office to submit as part of the education budget a line item for this, which means we need a standardized form for building maintenance assessment to be done, instead of one being 16 pages, another being 2 pages, so that that assessment has a dollar value associated with it that can be aggregated and calculated consistently. And then the governor has the information necessary to be able to submit to the legislature through JFAC, here's what we need, and here's how it needs to be allocated. And certainly the legislature may play additional roles, such as changing the 2% figure that we heard earlier to something different, like somewhere closer to 7. But it's going to take leadership from a central location in government to drive this. That's my opinion, because I just don't see 105 people figuring out how to solve this problem. They haven't addressed it since the Supreme Court ruled, and now we have this huge problem on our hands. And it also may put in perspective how to deal with future so-called surpluses, before we actually start, taking money away from things like this. So my question to you is, in your opinion, is that something that has merit, that idea that this is really an action for the governor's office to take the lead on instead of the legislature? And if so, what type of action might we expect? If not, why not?
Mr. Reber.
Madam Chair, committee. So, I do not disagree at all that the governor can and should be, and frankly is a leader in education in the state of Idaho, with our record investment in education this year. In terms of this specific problem for education, deferred maintenance. So as we know, deferred maintenance is often, handled at a local level with schools with bonds and supplemental levies. Looking at I don't know if the only solution here is putting more money through our budget into deferred maintenance, looking at things such as the threshold for bonds, as we saw, or, certain different types of supplemental levies. There's multiple options on the table here, as well as, leadership coming from the budget field in the governor's office. So, I think looking at all our options at the table, not just one, would be very valuable in helping out these schools, not just with other teacher issues like we're trying to deal with right now, but with this deferred maintenance issue.
Madam Chairman?
Representative Berch.
Just quick, I would just say that I think that we have kind of been lulled into this notion that continuous bonds and levies are the way things should be, when that in fact wasn't the case. When I moved here in '81, I voted on a bond or levy maybe once every 7 years. Now it's every year. And I think that we need to step back from that. And quite frankly, if the governor takes the lead on the state funding this maintenance, that is a really good way to lower property taxes. Provide property tax relief if the state resumes its constitutional responsibility to adequately fund this stuff, and stop assuming that bonds and levies on an annual basis are okay. I don't think so.